Hey everybody, Jim from Jim's Wholiest, Coleus. I hope everybody's well. As promised, I'm gonna get right to it. I hope if you're following along and your germinations are doing well. Don't get nervous. It's like watching water boil. You check on them every day, as I do, and each day. And this is experience over the years that I've been doing this. It seems like forever, but you're gonna find one day, boom, you're like, wow, they really grew overnight, and that's exactly what happened. My germinations, if you're following along, my germinations came in really quick inside of 3 days because the conditions were ideal. I had the trays, the grow lights, the moisture, the temperature, the light. Everything was like perfect. As opposed to maybe you don't have the best grow lights, maybe you don't have good lighting, or maybe you didn't water your medium enough, or whatever. Everything was really spot on, and I got good germinations, and also the seeds. The seeds are mature, fresh seeds that I harvested this season or in 2021. And again, if you need some Coleus seeds, it's not too late to start. It's never too late to start your Coleus. You can start them in March, even in April. They'll grow, especially if it's warm already, then they'll boost, they'll go even faster. So it's never too late. If you think, oh my God, Jim, he already started his Coleus, forget it. Or, you can start your seeds now. There's no reason. You can start your seeds in 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. Grow your Coleus, have fun. That's the name of the game here. So, and as you can see, I have another tray here. This is for my wishbone Terranias. I'm gonna start to seed them today. So and again, these are the pods, and you don't have to have the trays. You can use anything, aluminum, and then with these, I'll use a piece of saran wrap after I seed them. And wishbone Terranias, they get planted the same way as Coleus seeds. You have your medium, moist medium, pre-moisten your medium, drop your seeds on top of the soil, and just gently press the seeds down into the soil. Make sure that the seed didn't stick to your finger or your spoon when you pick up your finger or spoon. Make sure that the seed didn't stick to that. But wishbone Terranias, same type of medium, same way you germinate. They germinate the same way as Coleus. They need light, warmth, and moisture to germinate. So I'm going to start these today. All right, you can see here I have a number of new rootings because if you're following along and you noticed the last video, this Darth Vader Coleus was just overflowing. It was just wild, and it was just getting so overgrown that it would have ended up breaking on its own weight. So I trimmed it. I trimmed a bunch. I have some more rootings in the other room, one of each. That's why I love this plant, because I had, the opposite, the dark with the green edge, and then the green with the dark edge. Although the dark edge isn't as pronounced on this rooting, but it will. And that's not to say that dark colors or light colors may not develop in the other one. So it's all part of the genetics. There's the jitters. This other jitters, again, these are overwintered. These are the little small overwintered Coleus. This one I trimmed also because this was going crazy also. And the rustic I gave a really good trim to. I think I took one rooting of that because I have a lot of the rustic seeds. But the rootings are doing well, and we'll just keep these in the water until May. And or I may pot them a little. Once I start potting my other plants, I'll maybe find a pot and pot them. All right, so here we are. Now I just took the domes off for the purpose of the video. And also, I'm going to see if I can zoom in. I just turned them around. Now, you see how they're facing away from me? I just turned them around because the window is right behind here. So even with the grow lights, the window is pretty dominant. So a lot of times I'll move this during the really bright days. I mean, it's always bright here, but we have really nasty weather today. That brightness really adds to the Coleus. So I flood them with light, and that's the name of the game. But I'm starting to get Coleus. There is your Coleus right in the center. Remember I said the little leaves, the two little ears, those are the cotyledons. Those are the little radar dishes that, as I had mentioned, feed the true leaves. And you can actually start to see color. See the color coming in? Sorry for a little shaky camera. I'm just trying to find some Coleus that are showing really good amounts of color. But again, they're facing away. I turned them around, and it's good to do that. Now this tray, you can see they're not really overseeded. I have 4, some of them have 2 or 3. Now up here, these are my other trays. You can see they're a little more densely seeded, and I can do that. I have enough experience that I can separate these. And, you know, I only have so much room, and because I grow 600-700 Coleus, I only have so much room, and I try to keep it cost effective, because as inexpensive as these Jiffy pods are, I still don't want to use, you know, 200-300 of them. So I'm sorry the poor quality of the video. I'm just really just doing this for the demonstration. Now what I'm doing here is, now again, I mentioned once your germinations appear, whether it's the trays or pots or whatever medium that you have, your saran wrap, your clear dome, once your germinations first appear, as in my last video, I pop the side of the dome. Now I just took the dome off. I took the domes off of these right now. They were on crooked, they were partly open just to let air in. But what I like to do is I like to take it off at this point now, I'll take it off for the day and let some air really pump in. Get some air going in, get some oxygen pumping in. It really helps the development. Now, the other day, I did this a few days ago also, and I was a little concerned that some of the pods were getting dry. Whoop. So what I did is I kind of felt the tray, I felt some of the pods, and I added water, either with the little sprayer on the bottom, or small watering can that I water, and I kind of watered from the bottom and made sure all of the pods got water, just to make sure that because at this point you want to make sure they don't dry out, especially if you have a heat register like I do. Heat lights, grow lights, even though these don't really put off any heat, they still generate a little, there's a little warmth from them, but not anything that you have to worry about fires and so forth. But again, I like to open them up, get some air going in. It's nice and warm in here. It's like 68, 70, 68 degrees, which is 68. That's what my thermostat's on. Next to this here with the heat register, it's got to be 70. And I like to get some air pumping through. And then I'll just check. And again, this is where I know that these are still pretty moist, and I'm going to keep a good eye on them. Remember, same thing last video, the pods on the edges, will dry out before the ones in the center because the center ones draw in the moisture from the others. So I just make sure that these pods stay well watered. You don't have to saturate it. If you're not sure, then put a couple tablespoons of water, not on the plant themselves, not on the germination themselves, but in the pod near it, and then you can rest assured that your pods are watered enough because it's important. You don't want your medium or your pods to dry out, because then it'll affect your long range, the health of the plant. So if you're not sure, just keep the dome partly popped. The oxygen will get in, but I like to do this every once in a while. And I can also do this. I can just put the door down, not necessarily zip it up, but in another week or so, I'm going to totally remove. Once all of the germinations are coming in, I'm going to and I start to see second leaves, the true leaves. Once the true leaves start to show, and I clearly can see, many of them will have their color. They're not going to be the true color like when they get mature, but they're certainly like Kongs. They're going to certainly look like the Kongs, like that one I just showed you had the little had the little dash of a spot of color in the center. Can't quite tell what color it is. It's just it has the little dash, the characteristic dash. So I'm going to take one of these trays out and put it on the table and we can get a little close up. Okay, so here we go. Again, this is a 72 pod Jiffy tray, and I use those little plastic markers to keep track of what kind of Coleus this is. Don't use, I've seen in the past people use popsicle sticks, wood. The only bad thing about using wood in soil is avoid it, because it actually will soak up the nitrogen. So don't use popsicle sticks if you can avoid it. If you are now, maybe just move them away, but don't stick them in in the pod themselves, especially a popsicle stick, because it's gonna draw. Because think of that, popsicle sticks, that's wood, and what is wood gonna do? It's gonna absorb the nutrients. It's gonna absorb the water. These are synthetic, man-made plant spikes. They don't absorb anything. They don't emit anything. They don't take anything. They don't draw anything. So don't use wood, popsicle sticks, etc. to mark off your germinations. Certainly don't put them in pots, because it will take away a lot of the nitrogen and other things. And I learned that from one of my followers a few years ago, where I was actually using these little wood spikes to hold up my pepper plants. And that's what I love about this channel, is I learn from you guys, and I would have never known that. So I believe it was Pat or Mystique Rose. I believe it was Pat, but if it wasn't, if it was Mystique Rose, thank you both, because you follow your regular followers, and you're always teaching me, sending me little suggestions, and I appreciate it. So yeah, you can see so you can see the cotyledons are big. Those are the little radar dishes, and there's your true leaves coming in, and pretty much all of them have the true leaves coming in. I'm trying to see if I can get one that has the color coming in. That one does a little bit. In another week, I'll shoot it out another video. In another week, you're gonna see a marked difference. And that's what I really like about this time of year, of this stage of growing Coleus, is this is where you're gonna see the big difference as my videos, as I shoot more videos, they get less boring. And you're gonna say, wow, look at that, my God. That's really growing really nice. I have the light on, but it's just not, they're just still very tiny. but you can almost see some color in the center there. So, and you can see they're plenty moist. They still have lots of moisture. Again, get used to what your pods feel like and add water when you see fit. And if you're not sure, just use a couple of tablespoons of water on the pods that you suspect may be dry. Just don't overwater. You don't want to saturate it. And you know, as I see here, I have room here. I'll drop maybe 1 or 2 more seeds there. Maybe I'll drop 1. I already dropped 1 there, and they will come up a little different. Here, there's one that I seeded last week, and I'll do that. And Coleus seed germinations, different varieties are a little different size germination. So if your germinations look smaller than this, don't worry. It doesn't mean anything. Everything, you know, there's a lot of factors. Your light, your warmth in your house, the seeds that you use, unless they're my seeds. And there's still factors, local factors, but don't concern yourself, because you can see you'll get errant, you'll get some seeds that are coming in smaller. And also, as I had mentioned in my other video, when I germinate so many, after about a month, if I have in those other pods I have like 8 or 9, I grow so many, I overseed my pods. I know I said don't overseed for if you've been doing it for a while and you don't mind separating these, but I do this for a number of reasons. As in another week, another month, I would say another 2 or 3 weeks tops, I'll go through these. Like, that's severely overseeded. I don't know what happened there. I just get carried away sometimes. That's severely overseeded. What I'm going to do is go through that with a tweezer and really thin that out, because that's too much. But that's because I just have so many seeds. And again, if you need to get some seeds, it's not too late to grow your Coleus. Go to my eBay store, my eBay listing, Jim's Coleus, seen here. Go to my eBay listing and get some seeds. I have about five varieties left. All of the ones from my plants that featured on my videos, or most. And get yourself some seeds. Get started. It's not too late. You can wait another month. It doesn't make a difference. You can start them anytime you want, because they last for months and years. You can bring them inside. It doesn't matter. So get some of my seeds. You'll be helping out great cause. USO, Wounded Warriors, Paralyzed Veterans America. I make donations monthly to one of, and I rotate those organizations each month or so. So go to my eBay store, eBay listing, Jim's Coleus, get some seeds, and follow along. I have plenty of these videos, so you can look back on the video and see how you start your seeds, how you plant your seeds, and you don't have to necessarily worry about catching up to me, because eventually you're going to be at the point where I'm at, we're at, people who are following along. Where you know, our Coleus are in pots, they're mature, I'm trimming them, etc., etc. So don't ever think it's too late to have fun and learn something new. So you can see, I'll thin these out, but a lot of these, there may be one that doesn't look as good, and I'll trim that, I'll just pluck that out. And sort of like survival of the fittest. Now here's some that I seeded last week because they didn't germinate. There were a few that didn't germinate. It happens. Doesn't mean the seeds were. It just, for whatever reason, the seeds that I put in here when I seeded these didn't germinate. Could be a number of reasons. See how they're darker? These are chipotle. So look at the color. And that's even the cotyledons. But you can see in the center, the true leaves are coming in. It's fascinating. So again, you can overseed. I don't recommend it if you're new to this. I do it because I've been doing this very many years. I have my own little system, and I'll thin them out. and then I separate them and plant them, and I'm getting ahead of myself as I always do. Just to repeat myself as I often do, the important points: if you're using these trays, whether they're 72, 50, 10, 36, make sure you make sure they're well watered, especially the ones on the outside. Make sure they're well watered. If you're not sure, drop a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of water on each one. Again, if you're not sure, I got this little watering can. They have smaller ones. Just give it a little shot like that. Doesn't have to be on it. You can put it right in the corner, in between. Just a little bit. Just a couple little drops. And that's good. And then you're good. And at least you know you can rest easy. You know that your pods are not drying out. You just don't want to, you don't want to saturate them. But these drain pretty well, especially in the area I keep these. If I suspect that maybe, hey, I watered a little bit too much, and I'll take the dome completely off, open the greenhouse out, and let it air a little bit. And if this is your first time you're following, this is one of those indoor greenhouses. LED, full spectrum. Make sure it's a full spectrum LED grow light. Full spectrum means it provides all of the spectrum, all of the light bands that plants require to grow. From seed germinations to growth and roots and all of that. Think of it as your plant food. It has the 3 main. But this, it's light bands, but I'm not going to get into that. I have the boxes on the top because I want to raise the trays up closer to this this light. And this is just my system. This doesn't mean you have to do this. This is just my little system. And down here, I have the clip-on grow lights, which are really fabulous. Again, if you need links to these, just shoot me a message. I'll provide a link. I got these on Amazon. These are really good, these clamp-on grow lights. But I'll leave these here, let this air out, get the oxygen pumping in, because that's so important at this stage, is water, the light, the warmth, and the oxygen. Now we're getting the oxygen in there, and it's going to really, really, really boost the growth. There are people who use fans. I'm not going to use even the little ones. I don't want to use a fan really, because what the fan's going to do is it's going to dry. You're going to find yourself catching up on watering and stuff like that. The air movement will dry them, so that's a lot of extra work. But you certainly can get one of those little clip-on fans. Just don't put it right up there. If you want to get air moving into it, that's even better. But this is sufficient for me. It works for me. Later on, I get into fans in my greenhouse. Certainly, there is a place for the use of fans. And air movement is very important. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But anyway, they're looking good. Next week, I'll shoot another video. And you'll see marked difference. So just remember this video. And you can reference back. And you can see within a week or so how well they've grown. Okay, so any questions, comments below? Again, Instagram. If you need to get in touch with me, Instagram is the best way. Facebook. Follow along if you haven't. Subscribe, like this channel. Pass it on to your friends if you think they want to learn something new. And again, everybody, I wanted to thank everybody for your thoughts and prayers. I did say a goodbye to my beloved little Newton. My little Yorkie. Unfortunately, cancer ravaged him inside of 2 weeks, and it was very sad. But he's not. I didn't allow him to suffer. I made the decision, and I was with him. And I actually, his dad Chooch. I did a little memorial wake. There's a pet cemetery called Abbey Glen up in Lafayette, New Jersey, and they do a great service. We have a family cat that's buried there. You can either buy a gravestone, or they do cremation. They offer a private, like a wake. It's basically a wake for your pet. whether it's a cat, dog, or whatever. They actually did a wake, and it's a wonderful option. They groom them, they put them in a little casket type of thing with like velvet. It's a little waiting. It's like a little wake room, and you sit and you can pet and say your goodbyes. A half hour. Had my brother and some friends there, and they just said their goodbyes, and then they very tastefully, very respectfully. I've had it done twice. They take them into the crematorium, and then they close the window, and then you come and you pick up his ashes. You pick up your pet's ashes a few hours later. It's very respectful, and those are people who don't have pets will never understand it. If you don't have a dog, you wouldn't understand it. But it was a very peaceful send off to say goodbye to my friend. Okay, so stay tuned for the next video. Should be another week or so, and things will start to really move forward fast. Not too fast that you can't keep up, but again, they do this for you guys. I enjoy this, helping you guys out and enjoying and learning something new and growing great Coleus, and still have the whole season potting. Different types of pots, Coleus that fit in different types of pots for hanging baskets and stuff. Lots and lots to come through the season. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, follow along. It's a lot of fun. You can, there's just so much to it. Lots and lots of fun. So, all right, so we'll see you in another week or so. Take care, everybody.